Welcome to the Hardcore Closer Podcast. I'm Ryan Stewman, founder of HardcoreCloser.com, and this podcast is all about helping you, the salesperson, close more sales. And look, whether you're selling cars, homes, financial services, consulting, whatever it is that you sell, this podcast is dedicated to help you generate higher quality leads, increase your closing ratios, and show you how to charge premium fees for the items you sell so you can get paid what you're worth. What's up, Closer Nation? Welcome to episode. I sound like Sam Kinison there, right? You remember this? I know the young people just went, who? You should look him up. He was a little odd, but he was a funny motherfucker. Welcome to episode number 110 of the THC podcast, and I am so glad you're here. THC is not about weed. It is about the hardcore closers, just to clue you in for the new folks here. If you are new, if you're a first timer, be sure to check out previous episodes. And do me a huge favor. Like if it's not your first time, this is not a favor. This is your moral duty and obligation to leave me a review on iTunes. Listen, first of all, my goal is to help 300 million people find this show. Second of all, it helps me show up in the algorithms on iTunes. And it's not about like having a number one podcast or anything. I've already done all that shit. What it's about is more people seeing this so that we can change their mind and change their lives. And by the way, you can also check out my newest podcast called Get Your Mind Right podcast with Ryan Stewman. And it's like 5-7 minutes every single day, Monday through Sunday, every single day. Get your mind right. Listen to me first thing as you roll out of bed. But back to this show, leave me a review on iTunes. I'm going to read your review here. Listen, I don't care if you pitch your business. I don't care if you leave your phone number on here. I'll read that shit. I'll read it. So you have an opportunity. There's been plenty of people who've gotten my business, who've gotten other business just because they left a review. And so we actually try to pick people that leave a sales pitch in their review so that we give them like a plug-o-play-o advertisement. So go leave me a review, pitch your business. I'll read that shit on the air. Right here, it says, "You motivate me and my team" by Jimmy C. HVAC. Thanks for your podcast. My team and I listen to them regularly. We have a heating and air conditioning company. You helped boost our sales 10x. Haha, just kidding. Jim Carnelia, Orange Homes Services, Heating and Air Conditioning, and orangehomeservices.com. See, look, so Jimmy right here, Jimmy Canelia is, you can go to orangehomeservices.com. So orange as in the fruit, orangehomeservices.com. You can check their business out. Appreciate you leaving me a review there. What a lot of people don't know is I actually like Old Cardone. And more importantly, 10X isn't his thing. Like he's owned that shit and turned it into his thing. But 10X actually came from a man named Jim Collins, who's the author of Good to Great. Grant just like really took it to the next level and made it mainstream, which is awesome because Jim Collins isn't a mainstream character. And Grant is obviously the leader in this industry. So, a lot of people think that, me and Cardone are competitors or whatever. And the truth is he strictly focuses on sales training. And I give a lot of sales training away for free because what I really teach, this is how we rope you in and get you, ladies and gentlemen, is I think everybody's good at sales anyway. Shocker, right? I think the problem is it's one of two problems for most people. They don't have enough leads to sell to, which is what I help with. I help lead generation. That's my main business. That's like when you come with us, sales is 10%, lead generation is 90% because you can be the best salesperson in the world. If you don't have anybody to sell to, it doesn't fucking matter. You could be the worst salesperson in the world. And if you have 1 million people to sell to, somebody's going to buy your shit. So there's that revelation. And number two, I believe that a lot of people just sell something they're not passionate about. And that's something else I help with as well. So just a little thought process for you. The sales training over here is pretty much free. It's the lead gen stuff, the lead gen piece and the mindset stuff that I really sell. So we give away what my buddy Dan Henry said, step 2 for free. And we teach you step 1 when you pay to become a member. Because like I said, you get a bunch of free sales training. That's awesome. There's a bunch of free sales training all over YouTube and everything else. But the key is learning how to get a pipeline full of leads. That's what separates the poor from the rich, the broke from the wealthy. All right. So speaking of all, I got a free video I'd like for you to watch. And I put my heart and soul into this video last week. And this video, it is about mindset, marketing, advertising, sales, and a new way of looking at things. You can go see the video absolutely free. There's nothing for sale. I know. I know that's crazy coming from a guy that's got a podcast called The Hardcore Closer, but there's literally nothing for sale in this video. You can't buy anything. There's no buy now button. There's no last minute, oh, he tricked me and he sold me this shit anyway. There's none of that. There's nothing for sale. There's no way for you to give me money or any of that stuff. You just go over and watch the entire video, but you're going to have to watch the whole thing because once you watch it, Once you turn it on and you don't finish it, you got to start your ass all the way back from the beginning. There's no saving. There's no pausing. There's no hold up. It's going to come later. None of that shit. So go over to BFA, like as in Break Free Academy, BFAentourage.com. Give me your information. Prove you're a real human and watch that video. The video will change your life. It is the most I have put into a video in my career. It is decades of intelligence, decades of research. This year, I have paid performance coaches like David Goggins. I paid psychiatrists like Dr. Now listen, I see his face, Dr. George Pratt. I have paid for the brightest minds in business and marketing and mentoring and everything else in my years. I've spent almost $1 million on mentorship, psychology, psychiatrists, and not because I'm crazy, which I might be, but because I invest in myself. And all these years of invested in myself, that information is in that video. So go over to BFAentourage.com and watch that video for free. That shit will change your life. So let's talk about this. Let's jump into the episode. And today we're going to talk about mindset, because here's what I know about sales. A lot of people struggle to make money in sales. They struggle to get filthy, stinking rich in sales, not because they don't have enough leads or they're not good at sales, but because they have these things called upper limits. You see, when we grow up, we set a limit, we set a goal, right? And goals are really limits for some people. Like, people say that they're goals, but goals are meant to be broken and then a new one established. A lot of people mistake a goal for a limit. A goal is not the end game. A goal is not happily ever after. A goal is a stepping stone onto the next stepping stone, okay? And so upper limits are when people set a goal and they decide that that is an end goal. Then they're setting a limit on themselves. You know, my son plays soccer, and when he scores goals, if he scores too many of them, they pull him from the game and tell him he scored too many goals. And he's like, but my goal was to score 4 goals, and you pull me out at 3 and tell me I'm going to lose for the team if I score the 4th one. And the thing is, they're setting a limit on him. And I tell him, hey, man, as soon as they put you back in the game, go score another goal. Fuck them. Fuck their limits. You look at Master P, the guy that lived a no-limit lifestyle. I mean, that was his record label. I mean, if you don't know who Master P is and you're a little bit younger and you listen to this, like, you're missing out on some good-ass gangster shit. May crack like this. Ghetto dope. It's rocked up. There it is. May crack like this. Man, Master P was the shit. He still is, man. Master P is worth $350 million still. Well, you think about this. Let me just can I just talk about rap for a minute? Okay, the guys from the 90s are the richest dudes in rap, period. Like, these motherfuckers today out here, like what is it, Migos and shit like that, just making a bunch of noise, cook it, burger, all that bullshit, right? Like, it's cool and it's like fun to get hyped up in the club. These motherfuckers ain't really saying shit. They ain't got no meaning behind their shit. They ain't really no gangsters. They're a bunch of fucking actors and shit like that. Dudes that were in the 90s, rap, they made real money. Master P ain't put an album out in 20 fucking years, man, and he's worth $350 million. Puff Daddy ain't put an album out in 15 years. So I think he actually did some shit about 10 years ago. And he's worth almost $1 billion. Jay-Z puts one album out like every 4 years, like he's motherfucking Metallica, and that dude's almost worth $1 billion too. The rappers from the 90s had this shit figured out. These days, these motherfuckers are just like whatever, and they just like take their 5 minutes of fame, and like Jay-Z says, it's like they'll fucking trade the Beverly Hills lifestyle for fucking suburb and Calabasas and shit like that, man. But Master P lived this no-limit lifestyle. That was the name of his record label, No Limit. You know, make them say, oh, that was what they did. And he really did live this no-limit lifestyle. So most of the time in the music industry, and P paved the way for motherfuckers. Like, P paved the way for, I don't care what you say, P paved the way for P. Diddy. He paved the way for fucking Jay-Z. He broke people free from Def Jam. And what he did was he said, there's no limits on what I can do. You see, if I go to work for Def Jam, there's a limit on what I can do because Def Jam dictates the money I make. Def Jam dictates the people that I bring in on my label. Def Jam, they do this, they do that. I got to be a person that answers to Russell Simmons. He said, I'm not going to put a limit on what we're going to do here in the South. And he changed the way that rap was like all New York, East Coast, West Coast shit. And Master P threw the third coast in that motherfucker. Third Coast, Calio Projects, you know, like y'all the youngsters that don't know this shit, y'all missed out on some good shit. But so P lived this, his name's Percy Miller. He lived this no limit lifestyle, and he had this no limit thinking. And he brought in all these no limit soldiers, and he basically baptized them with this no limit mindset. It was like Silk and C Murder and True Gang and Fiend, because there's one in every family, and Mystical, and eventually even Snoop Dogg was like, fuck it, I want to get on this no limit shit, dog, right? Snoop Dogg come over there. Like, he attracted all these people. Snoop Dogg had been on, what was it? The records with Suge Knight. It's not Def Jam. Rob, you come in real quick. Robert, tell me what the name of that label was. It was with Suge Knight, man. What was it called? It was with
Death Row.
Death Row, there we go. I knew it was Death something. So Death Row, Snoop Dogg was on all that shit, right? And he made the move from Death Row over to No Limit, not because P offered him some kind of money, but P told him, hey, you can come over here and there's no limit, dog, no limit. Well, now if you look at Master P, I was looking him up yesterday. He's got $350 million net worth. He lives in a house. I saw him. What made me look it up is I follow him on Instagram. You should follow him on Instagram at Master P. And I followed him on Instagram, and I seen him jogging down the street because he's on this weight loss shit, right? He got all this money, got fat and happy and shit. He's on this weight loss shit. And I saw him leaving the house, and I thought, where the fuck does that dude live? And I saw mountains in the background. Man, this house is as big as my block. And I live in a nice, big house. This house was unreal. Like, I've seen some big-ass houses in my day. I ain't never seen a house like this shit that he was running out the front yard in. And that's just one of his many houses. And I looked up where this house was. This house was in San Francisco, one of the most expensive. This must have been $100 million house he just was running out in the front of. And it was his house. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got 32 houses worth God knows how much money. And because the 350 is his net worth. That's not like his assets. He may have $2 billion in assets and his net worth is $350 million. That's what a lot of people make the mistake of Trump too. They're like, he got $2 billion net worth. He's just barely a billionaire, or $1 billion net worth. Yeah, but he might have $20 billion in assets. So the net worth, for those of you that don't know, a net worth is your assets minus your liabilities, right? So maybe if I have $50 million in liabilities, but $50 million in assets and $10 million in liabilities, I got a $40 million net worth. Even though I'm $10 million in debt, I got $40 million net worth, right? Now, I'm not saying I do. I'm just giving you an example there. And so Pete lived this no limit lifestyle, and he shook the rap game up. He changed the way that things were. New Orleans, people knew New Orleans as a place where you go and you shit on the streets and you get drunk from Mardi Gras and you get the fuck out of there because it stinks and it was full of housing projects like nothing you've ever seen before. Like, now it doesn't look like it used to. Like, when I used to go down to New Orleans when this shit was hot and I was trading, weed for cocaine and all this stuff, and like, that was my first hustle. I would take weed from Texas where we imported from Mexico and trade it for cocaine that they shipped in through the water there in New Orleans. And that was my shit. That's what I went to prison for and everything else. And man, when you would go down there and you would see the Melfame fucking projects and the Calliope projects and the Magnolia projects, that's where Birdman and all them and Lil Wayne and all them are from too, man. If you look that shit up on YouTube, that shit is insane how big. It's bigger than the Marcy projects where Jay-Z's from. It's bigger than the Baltimore projects where they did The Wire and all that shit, man. It's just fucking crazy the size of these places down there. And they were all about segregation. Like, some of them started out as white projects. Some of them started out as black projects. Some of them started out as Creole projects, man. It's like some interesting history down there in New Orleans because one of the oldest, I think it's the oldest city in the South, and it's one of the oldest cities in America, period. It's like, it dates back to Louisiana Purchase and all that other shit. And so anyway, P had this no limit lifestyle, and he brought what would have been a shitty part of the country to life, right? He brought people that were impoverished and living in these huge housing projects, and he showed them that there was this no limit. And all of a sudden, people down there in New Orleans at one point, P was so rich, there was a fucking tank made out of gold parked in front of his house that said no limit on it. That was because that was his logo. Like, and these dudes, Mystical and all these other cats, man, they've just like bought into this shit, and then Birdman copied them. Birdman said, damn, P just changed everything up from the Calliope projects. I'm going to come over here for the Magnolia and I'm going to recruit Lil Wayne, who's, arguably one of the best rappers to ever live. Like, Lil Wayne, when he's on his game, man, he stopped writing raps. Like, he stopped writing. Everything he spit was freestyle. Like, he's like the me of rap, right? Like, I'm the freestyle king of podcasts. He's the freestyle king of rap. And Jay, he writes this shit. Wayne, he just gets on there and spits. Like, so that crazy shit he says, like in the Amelie remix, you know what I'm saying? He goes like, say sex is great sex, but you better wear that latex because you don't want that latex that I think I'm latex. Man, that shit's just freestyle from that motherfucker. He's like that sick with it, man. He sip a lot of lean too. But anyway, so Birdman and them, they copied him. They became the big timers. They had the #1 stunner. And those guys, man, like, he just changed rap, man, and he just put this no limit. But here in the sales world, I'm going to bring no limit to you today. Okay, I'm going to bring no limit to you. I'm going to remove your upper limits. Okay, because a lot of times your salary dictates an upper limit. You say, if I just in sports world, you have people that say, if I just make it to the NFL, if I just play in the NBA, and they put that limit on themselves. They never say, like Kobe Bryant, he didn't say, if I just make it to the NBA, he said, if I just get enough rings to beat Michael Jordan, if I just win enough tournaments to beat Michael Jordan. He said, matter of fact, he probably didn't even put that limit on himself. He probably just said, I'm just going to win as many rings as I can. Because Kobe Bryant is known for giving people numbers. Oh, I gave the Pistons 110. Oh, I gave the Spurs 83. Like, he's known for giving people numbers. He let them score those points. He gave them the numbers. That's how his mindset was, because there was no limit on what he could do. He limited everybody else. But what happens to us is we're wired as kids. We're told, hey, don't score these goals, and they set a limit on us. Hey, don't get these good at grades. They set a limit on us. Hey, don't be bigger than all the other kids and brag. They set a limit on us. Hey, they always set a limit on us. And so our whole life, we get stuck with these upper limits. We have a good month in sales. We think we don't deserve it. We blow it all. We have a bad month in sales. Then we got to go work twice as hard. We have a good month in sales. We earn it. We blow it. We repeat the process over and over and over again because upper limits. We get the girl of our dreams. We cheat on her, right? We get the job of our dreams. We show up late and drunk. We get fired. Like we have these upper limits on ourselves that keeps us from really being successful overall in life. And today I'm going to show you 5 ways to avoid hitting those things. Number 1, you have to believe. And by believe, there's a couple beliefs that you need to have. You need to write the shit down. Number 1, you need to believe that you deserve everything on this planet. I'm talking about trillions of dollars. I'm talking about the ability to sell to anybody, anywhere that's got a stare. I'm talking about the ability to have nice things, nice cars, the ability to have your dream woman, the ability to raise good kids, the ability to put your kids in private school, the ability to what you need to believe that you deserve it. You need to believe that you deserve everything, and you have the ability. So number 1 is you have to believe that you have the ability to do anything on this planet. Number 2 is you have to believe that you deserve everything on this planet. You see, a lot of us think we don't deserve stuff, but we do. If we deserved this, it wouldn't even enter our mind that it was possible. So there's this story about a guy named Charles Blondin. And he was the world's greatest tightrope walker during the 1800s, right? And so he strung a rope across Niagara Falls from the Canadian border to the American border. And he left the Canadian side, and he told the Canadians, he said, hey, do you think I can walk across? And they all lined up, and they were like, yeah, do it. They were like, hey, maybe this dude will die. Maybe he'll do it. Either way, it'll be awesome. And he walked across. He goes to the American side. He said, do you think I can walk across backwards? And they're like, yeah, do it. And he walked across backwards. He got back to the Canadian side. He said, do you think I can run across? And they said, yeah. And he did it. He got to the American side. And he said, do you think I can run backwards across? And they're like, fuck yeah, do it. And he goes, okay. So you guys now, do you think that I could walk slowly across it? And they're like, well, yeah, you've already done that. And he goes, great. I want to take somebody on my back. Who's it going to be? And the crowd went awkwardly silent. So he walked across to the American side. He said, do you guys think that I could walk back across? They said, yeah. And he goes, awesome. Well, I want to take somebody with me on my back. Who's it going to be? And they were all quiet again. You see, the story is a lot of people say they believe, but their actions don't line up with that belief. A lot of people say they believe they can be a millionaire, but they doing $20,000 a year bullshit. A lot of people say anything's possible, but they're putting a whole lot of limitations on themselves. And so you got to have this belief that you can and you have the ability to do anything on this planet, this belief that you deserve everything on this planet, and this belief that you will get everything on this planet that you want, and you have the ability. So you have to believe that you will. You have to believe that you have the ability. You have to believe that you deserve it. And you have to believe that you will. Okay, so that's how you get rid of upper limits. That's the first one. And the second one is you earn it. You get rid of upper limits because you actually earn it, right? Because if you earn something, you deserve it. A lot of people, they get these participation trophies, they didn't earn it. And so they don't feel like they deserve it. And so they hit an upper limit. They think that they're a loser. They think they don't deserve something. And when you don't think you deserve something, you give it away. And that's an upper limit. You have to earn it. You have to do the work. You have to put in the time. You have to make the moves. You have to hustle. You have to do all those things. You have to earn it. Because belief's one thing, but then belief paired with action is what makes all the difference in gaining traction. You see, I like to rhyme every now and then, especially since we was talking about no limit shit. Make crack, like that's what you say. Make podcasts. Urban dope, suburban dope. Anyway. So you have to earn it, because if you earned it and you work for it, then you feel like you deserved it and you'll keep it. You see a lot of people, they get lay down sales, or they get easy money. And in the book of Proverbs in the Bible, it says money that's gained quickly spreads its wings and flies away twice as fast. Why? Because if you earned a lot, if you didn't earn a lottery ticket that you won with, you didn't earn an inheritance. And so you give it away because you had an upper limit. And you feel like you don't deserve the money that you got because you didn't earn it. You see that? Number 3, you got to remove the restraints on yourself. A lot of us hit this glass ceiling, and the rope and the restraints that have tied us to the ground is just long enough for us to barely bump our head against the glass ceiling. We can never break through it because these restraints hold us back. Matter of fact, if you take a horse, I was raised on a farm as a young man. If you take a horse when it's a colt, which is a baby horse, and you tie it to a little stake in the ground, and the colt can't pull that stake out. The colt can't do it. The colt gives up after it jerks and it pulls its head around with the halter and shit, and it gives up after a little while. A grown-ass horse can pull a stake out of the ground in a matter of seconds. Like you ever see in the cowboy days, like in the old Western movies, they pull up to the saloon and they just throw the rope around the fence and the horse never moves. And if the horse just pulled that rope, the horse would be able to go wherever the hell it wanted to. But see, what happens is, since it was a little kid, the little colt, the horse had this restraint on it that it couldn't move. And so as an adult, it doesn't even try to move the restraint. You have to remove the restraints from your life. You've been tied up to a little stake in the ground. When you were young, you were told not to score. You were told that you were hit an upper limit. You were told that there was limitations on life and you can't be everything that you want. And you're probably not going to be president. There was all these limitations put on your life. But then when you grow up to be an adult, you're just like that horse. They just throw the little reins, which is the rope that you hold a horse with. They just throw the reins over the side of the fence. The horse thinks that it's tied to the fence. It doesn't even try to move itself. That's you as an adult. Right? Somebody's just thrown the reins over the fence, and all you got to do is take a few steps backwards, and you could run back across the prairie and go back to being a wild Mustang. But yet, most people, they never take action. They never remove those restraints. They never take those few steps back. They just believe that they're there for a reason. I saw yesterday in the Sales Talk with Sales Pro group, somebody said, this is going to trigger some people. And then that was the post, and there was a picture, and it said, you just paid $120,000 for a college education to get a $40,000 a year job. And one of the dudes says, hey, that's a pretty good ROI if you work for more than 5 years. And I'm like, big old face palm over here, because that person's got restraints on themselves. $40,000 a year is not good. It's not, especially not if you work in sales. If you work in sales, you make $40,000 a year, you need to go get another job because you in the way of us that ain't got no fucking restraints on us. Number 4, you have to ask yourself why. Why do you have a limit on yourself? Why do you feel like you deserve? Why do you feel like you want these things? You need to ask yourself why. You should always ask yourself why. Because the second we stop questioning ourselves, the second that we stop trying to grow and trying to explore and try to identify and try to dig deeper, is the second that those restraints just get tighter around us. It's the second we feel like we don't deserve stuff. It's the second that we lose our beliefs. You have to ask yourself why. Every day, why do you get out of bed? Every day, why do you make the phone calls you do? Every day, why don't you make the phone calls you're supposed to? Every day, why do you have the job that you do? Every day, why don't you have your dream job? Why haven't you gone into business for yourself? Why aren't you making $1 million a year? Nobody ever told me that I couldn't make $1 million a year. And if they did, I told them to fuck off. I was going to. But why wasn't about money for me. It was about proving people wrong to me. I'm just being real. My why was to prove people that they were wrong about me. That I can earn this shit, that I do deserve it. And my beliefs about me being who I am and what I'm capable of was stronger than their disbeliefs in who I wasn't and what I was not capable of. So you have to ask yourself why. Number 5, you got to fight the force of average. You see, every day that we show up, the force of average is trying to bring us down. It's trying to push us back in our place. It's trying to keep us from stepping out. The force of average is the restraints, right? Those restraints, they're tricks from the force of average to keep us in the struggle, to keep us in our comfort zone. We go to school and we learn how to be good little factory workers, good little employees. We go to church and we learn to fold our hands and be quiet like good little kids. We go to sports and we start out this like, not don't score and don't run the score, be a good little athlete. We go to work and they're like, be a good little middle manager. And that's all tricks designed from the force of average to keep you being an average motherfucker. You're not here because you want to be average. You're not listening to this podcast because you want to be average. You don't exist in this world to be average, but you have to fight the force of average in order to escape average. You weren't put here to be average. You were put here to be tested to see if you were willing to do what it took to be above average. And most people, which is why it's average, most people fail that test or they get average on the test. There's no grading curve in life. But let me tell you this. Let me remove some of the restraints. Let me show you how to fight the force. There's 1,700 new millionaires every day in America. Every 3 days, there's a new billionaire in China. And you think about that, the Chinese has a crazy population and somebody over there is becoming a billionaire every 72 hours. In America, in 24 hours, 1,700 people become a millionaire. So what restraints are on you that aren't on those people? Let's do a little math real quick here. What restraints are on those people that aren't on you? So if we say 1,700 divided by 24, that's 70 people per hour, every hour, 365 days a year in America become a millionaire. 70 new millionaires per hour. There was 495,000 people last year that joined the Millionaires Club in America. It's not significant to make $1 million. It's middle class. You see, but you were probably put some kind of limiting belief, some kind of upper limit on your life because your parents probably told you to go get a job and make $100,000 and you think $100,000's a lot, so you realize you got to give Uncle Sam 40. And then you met a boss somewhere that made $250,000 and he's like, if you do good like me, you'll make $250. So you set an upper limit at $250 and then you realize you got to give 100 of that to Uncle Sam. Then you saw a CEO somewhere that made $400,000 or $500,000 a year and you thought that was possible. And then you realize that you got to give 200 or 300 of that to Uncle Sam. You see, it's not what we think it is. All these things have been put here by the force of average to keep us having average thinking, to put these upper limits on our life. But nobody said you can't make $1 million per hour. Nobody's saying that you can't be one of those 70 millionaires per hour. Nobody's telling you that anymore, except for yourself. You're that horse tied to that fence that you could totally just walk away from, but you're choosing not to because you're stuck in your old ways. You fall victim to the force of average. You see, upper limits are designed to control you. People have planted these memories into the hard drive of your mind, the subconscious, and they're trying to keep you in the place that you are now so that you'll never be better than them because they're average. I'm telling you, these 5 things will help you step out of being average. They'll help you step ahead of the pack. You see, when I started my first day in the mortgage business, after coming out of federal prison, in one of the worst times to be in the mortgage business, but it was all I knew. And I started at this company, and there was a few of us that were in training together. And we got out of training, we got the leads. The other guys were like, these are shitty leads. And they ended up getting fired because they didn't produce. When I sat down and I saw the leads, I thought, holy shit, people that want to do business with me. How amazing is this? And I went on to break records. They had to print extra plaques. They had to come up with names for shit that didn't exist before. They had bronze, silver, and gold. They had to come up with diamond and platinum and shit for me. Why? Because those other motherfuckers had limits on their life and they didn't believe. And me, I believed that everybody that was a lead wanted to do business with me. I believed that everybody that was a lead could buy a house. I believed that everybody that showed up as a lead deserved me to show up for them. So let me do a quick recap. 5 ways to avoid hitting upper limits in your life. Number 1, believe. You have to believe that you deserve. You have to believe that you have the ability. And you have to believe that you will make it happen. Number 2, earn it. If you earn it, you deserve it. A lot of people hit upper limits because they don't think they deserve it. Number 3, don't be the horse. Remove the restraints from your life. Chances are you're tied to a fence that you could easily step away from. Number 4, ask yourself why. Why do you do this? Why do you want the things that you want? What does that ultimately mean to you? What if it was possible for you to do that? What would you do then? Why? Question everything. And number 5, you got to fight the force of average because it's coming against you hard. If you like stuff like this, we do little daily snippets at the Get Your Mind Right podcast. You can see it in iTunes here. It's on the hardcorecloser.com or YouTube or wherever the fuck you find me. Get Your Mind Right podcast. First thing in the morning, roll over. Let me get your mind right. 5 to 7 minutes every single morning. It can be your morning meditation ritual. roll over, put your headphones on, listen to me. Let me get your mind right. If you go over to closercards.com, you can get our flashcards that help you handle objections. We're giving away our objection handling workshop video to everybody who grabs those closer cards. They're $9.99 with free shipping and handling. So they're super cheap, super affordable. And go over there and grab you a stack of closer cards, listen to the Get Your Mind Right podcast, and show up every single week here on the Hardcore Closer podcast. And by all means, damn it, leave me a review. And more importantly, be like Master P and live a no-limit lifestyle. Make rap like this. Ghetto dope. All right. Check y'all next week. Thanks for hanging out. It's been fun. Remove the restraints. Kick upper limits right in the dick. We'll catch you next week. Later, Closer Nation.